Let's now go to that horrible, violent protest at Washington's Capitol Hill back on January the 6th, 2021. Fuelled, of course, by people who reckon the US election was rigged, that Donald Trump was robbed. That's a claim I've called out from the start. Yes, there were some election anomalies. There always are in the complicated and disjointed US electoral system, but it was always clear Trump lost fair and square, just as he won fair and square 4 years earlier when the Democrats cried foul and launched their resistance. Now, the thing about January the 6th is that as horrible as it was, turning into a riot with one protester shot dead by security staff, the political left and, by extension, most media have exaggerated what went on, initially claiming a number of security staff were killed and framing it as one of the worst days in US history. The reality is that other deaths linked to the protests were found to have been from natural causes. The political left and the media in the US continue to weaponise these events against the Republicans and against Trump in particular. And by the way, remember how in Australia the political left, the usual anti-Trump mob, even asked rhetorical questions about whether this sort of horrible political violence could ever happen here? I mean, the selective memories of these people. The political left and the unions rioted against John Howard back in 1996. They smashed their way into Parliament House, vandalised the joint and injured police and security staff. It was a shocking and shameful day for the unions, for the left, for the country. But they prefer to erase it from history, apparently. Anyway, back to Washington and that riot in January 2021. Thousands of hours of security footage has now been made public, and Tucker Carlson has aired some of it on Fox News in the US, demonstrating how the majority of the intruders in the Capitol building were respectful towards police, actually facilitated by police, and behaving more like sightseers rather than rioters. It's fascinating stuff. It gives us a more complete picture of what went on. Now, none of this excuses the rioters in any way. The smashed doors, the violence we saw from some protesters, that, of course, was disgraceful and unforgivable. But these pictures provide more context and also suggest this was all handled in an unusual manner. Have a look at some of Carlson's report, focusing on the most prominent protester.
The single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon Shaman.
The so-called QAnon Shaman.
QAnon Shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive.
Yeah, that's a heavy sentence, but there are reports that dozens of other protesters from that day are in jail now, 2 years later, refused bail, never having faced trial. Disgraceful. Anyway, have a look at more of Carlson's report and ask yourself what was going on in the Capitol that day.
Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest?
Fair question, isn't it? Again, none of this excuses anybody's violence, but it raises all sorts of questions. Yet have a listen to some of the reaction.
Rupert Murdoch, who has admitted they were lies and said he regretted it, has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth.
Really? That's what the Democrats think of freedom of speech, of pursuing the facts? They want Tucker Carlson censored or silenced because he shares new information and offers views they don't like? We live in worrying times, don't we? But suppressing the facts, shutting down opposing views, silencing critics, preventing the pursuit of the truth, that's an attack on democracy. An insidious attack on democracy that's every bit as dangerous as that ugly riot on Capitol Hill.